Can I ask about batteries here? Okay, cool. No worries. So basically, I've read differing things on this, but I note that what Clarity has said that if we're basically to have enough storage for the entire network in terms of capacity, and admittedly this I think is a little bit exaggerated because they use 7 days, they're saying we need 25 snowy hydro projects, but let's just work on 1 to 2 days and bring it back to 3 or 4 snowy hydro projects. Do we think we can come up with enough storage by 2030 to guarantee 100% reliability if we go to 82% renewables?
Yeah, so Senator, you're absolutely right that as we add more renewables to the system, we need to make sure that the firming capacity there exists. So in all the work that AEMO does around its ISP projections for 2030, it takes into account the type of generation and the type of storage and firming capacity that we need. So batteries is part of that projection. Of course, one of the things, government's got a couple of policies directly in this area. One is the capacity investment scheme that was announced with energy ministers towards the end of last year, which is projected to put on about $10 billion worth of firmed renewable capacity into the system. Alongside that, the government also has a couple of direct battery-related programs, community battery programs and other things that are all intended to provide that capacity which, as I said, AEMO projects forward as part of its scenarios.
Yeah, great. So with those community batteries, I note the government's investing $224 million to help install 400 community batteries. How much storage, in terms of relative percentage, how much would that those community batteries store as a part of the grid?
We have our battery expert coming to the table who may be able to answer that one.
James White, Branch Head Renewables and Distributed Energy. The community batteries for household solar program is aimed at the distribution networks, not the transmission networks, Senator. So it's not there to provide the utility scale storage that you're describing.
Yep.
But the program will install 400 community batteries in distribution networks across Australia to help households share solar, to reduce pressure on the local distribution networks, to enable the export of more solar. The typical size of one of those batteries we estimated at 0.5 megawatts for the battery, and the storage time will depend on the individual battery.
Okay, so how many houses could you say would one community battery store enough energy for on a daily basis? So when you say community, how big are those communities? How many houses in those communities?
The communities can be varying amounts of size, Senator. I can come back to you probably in a few minutes on the number of households expected to be served by those batteries, but I don't have that figure in front of me here.
Okay, no worries. And will we have to import those batteries? I assume we do because we don't make them here. These batteries that are being built, will they be imported?
I think it's reasonable, Senator, to assume that a proportion of the batteries will be imported.
Okay, so given that batteries last 8 to 10 years, how many, how sustainable is this if we have to import batteries every 8 to 10 years for 400 communities with an unknown household size?
So I won't go into the premise of the question there, Senator, which I think is making an assumption about Australia's future battery manufacturing capability.
Well,
but in terms of the 8 to 10 years, Senator,
whether or not it's sustainable or not. So forgetting just that is the second part of the question, but the first part is will we have enough batteries to provide enough storage if we go to 82% renewable energy on the grid? That's my first concern, is reliability throughout, say, a period of a week.
So I'll go back to the part of the question that I was answering in relation to the 8 to 10 years. When the Australian Energy Regulator made its determination around ring fencing in relation to the community batteries program, it has given a determination length that runs to the 30th of June 2041 in response to submissions that indicate that the batteries are expected to have an effective life of 15 years beyond the end of the program, 2026. So the view is that it's a 15-year lifespan for a battery, not an 8 to 10-year lifespan, Senator.
Right, so that's twice as long as a car battery, because my understanding is car batteries last 8 to 10 years. That could be true. Yeah, okay, sure.
So I'm not aware of the life of a car battery, Senator. I'm just commenting on the community batteries program.
Yeah, okay. No worries. But even so, in 15 years' time, they'll have to be recycled, and Larry Marshall, the CSIRO chief, has said that costs 3 times as much to recycle a battery as it does to actually, for the materials that go in it. How sustainable is this across the long term?
So I can't answer questions here about sustainability in terms of recycling and so forth. That would be another part of the department. In terms of the minerals available to provide these, that's also another part of the department, but my understanding is there's very large reserves of the minerals needed to continue to manufacture batteries. What technology and what state we get to in terms of recycling in the future, I think, is to be seen.
Yep.
And yes, it's a 15-year lifespan on a battery, which is comparable to the sort of lifespan you would get on a hot water heater or other bits of technology of the same type.
Yeah, except we're putting 224 million into this, so I guess the thing is how many houses, and this comes back to how many people will this provide energy for or storage for, and for how long will that storage be? So will it, provide an hour's backup, 2 hours backup? And that's the answer I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I have said I'll come back to you with that answer, Senator, so I'll take that on notice.
Okay.
We do have that information, I just don't have it in front of me.
Thank you, and thanks very much, Chair.
Authorised G. Rennick, LNP Chermside.